Hello. Welcome to Tea Talks. I got started a little bit early to give everyone a time to join. Hope everyone had a wonderful day today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me as we listen to my theme song. By the way, I don't own the rights to this music, but I absolutely love this song and it's so appropriate. So I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes to join. We are talking about perfectionism today. So just giving everybody a little chance to join. It is now 7 o'clock. We're going to give a little grace period to have everyone join. About 3 minutes or so. Please like and share, tag someone in this video. Anyone who you think needs to hear this message today. We're talking about perfectionism on today. So Tea Talks is trauma, education, and advocacy. Trauma, education, and advocacy. And I'm going to talk a little bit about perfectionism. I'm a certified trauma support specialist. Hi, Tiara. Thank you for joining me. I am your certified trauma support specialist. And welcome to Tea Talks. Thank you for joining me today. Please like and share this broadcast. If there's anyone you want to tag, please do so. We're going to be talking about an interesting topic today, perfectionism. So we're going to give a couple minutes for others to join. We're at 7:01. We're going to get started at about 7:03. Again, thank you for joining. We are here to talk about those things that have happened to us that has affected who we are today, and then ultimately how we can move past those things. So thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. We're going to be talking about what it means to be a perfectionist today. That's something that sounds like a positive, but if we are using it in a negative way or if it's counterproductive to us, then it's not a good thing to do. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Mom. Thank you for joining me on Tea Talks tonight. We're going to get started here in about another minute. Please like and share this broadcast. We're going to be talking about perfectionism on today. This is a Tea Talks where we talk about those things that has happened to us in the past and they have affected the way that we respond and the way we are today. You guys hear me say all the time that all behavior is communication. So please like and share, tag someone to join this video. All behavior is communication, and we're going to be talking about what it means to be a perfectionist today. So thank you. It is 7:03. So you guys know the first thing that we like to talk about is my mug. So this is going to be my mug of the month. So I got this in the mail about last weekend, and I ordered it. I saw it on Facebook and I ordered it because I thought it was the coolest thing. So it's a bookshelf all the way around. The cup is a bookshelf. And it is the coolest thing ever. I love this mug. Thanks to everyone who donated to my mug. I appreciate you. But this is my mug of the month. So for the rest of the month, this is what we're going to be doing. And I am drinking my pineapple tea, which is pineapple core, the outside of the peel of the pineapple, a knob of ginger, a tablespoon and a half of lemon juice, a tablespoon of maple syrup, a quarter teaspoon of turmeric, water, and there was one more thing I put in there and I can't remember, but I believe those are the 4 ingredients. It's a knob of ginger, pineapple core and peel, turmeric, lemon juice, and maple syrup. So that is the tea that I'm drinking. I make that all the time. So that is what is in my teacup on today. So today we're going to be talking about perfectionism. Again, thank you for joining me. I am your certified trauma support specialist and this is a safe space where we talk about trauma. We talk about those things that has happened to us, maybe even in our childhood, a lot of it in our childhood, that has shaped the way we respond today. So we're going to be talking about perfectionism on today. Perfectionism, we think about it sometimes as, okay, I like things done a certain way. I like to see things a certain way. And thank you all for joining me. But it can be exhausting, right? Constantly trying to live up to the expectations or attain a greater life. We place it on ourselves. So it could come from, again, being young and being raised in a parental environment where you never felt that anything was good enough. You never felt that you were good enough. You never felt that anything you did was accepted. And so we begin to then put these parameters and these expectations on ourselves to do better. It could be from the friends that we had or the people who really weren't our friends, but they could have been our antagonists in school, telling us that we don't look good enough or we're not smart enough or things like that. And so we grow up with this idea that we have to show them, right? I'm going to show you. And so, but what happens ultimately is that we get exhausted and we burn out. It's basically like a learned behavior. Are you always looking to outdo yourself? Are you always looking to feel like you want to be perfect in every single thing? And so what happens that even in our lives, as we get jobs and things like that, we are never satisfied with our achievements. We are never satisfied with where we are because we're always trying to upstage. We're always trying to say, you know what? They're not going to like it. Or if we have a project due and when we get to the point where we're such a perfectionist that we can't even move, it literally makes you get stuck because you're thinking of everything that could go wrong as opposed to appreciating what you do right. Please like and share this broadcast for anyone that's coming on, because this is a very interesting thing that we're talking about. It's a way that we think and believe. It comes from internally. Again, it could be triggered from when you were younger and you had parents who, again, didn't always focused on your failures or, put these high expectations on you that you had to achieve this or you had to do this, not allowing yourself to take a break, not allowing yourself to relax and learn how to just be, how to just be that person. And we could have felt like our needs were dismissed. We weren't emotionally taken care of properly, and so all of that morphs into this new being of, I have to be the best that I can be. We wanted to be loved. We wanted to be depended on, we wanted to depend on our parents. We wanted to be able to depend on them. And, our parents do the best that they can with what they have. As a parent myself, I know what that is. Whatever tools we have, we do the best that we can with what we have. But ultimately, sometimes the things that happen and the way that we live our lives, it actually gets onto our children. It gets attached to our children. And so our children begin to feel the wrath, or they begin to feel the residue of what we're dealing with, right? So we want our children to do better. Even your parents, they want you to do better. They want you to live a certain type of way. And so they may put high expectations on you. Yes. Trying to live our lives through our children. Yes. Very good. Absolutely. A lot of parents want to do that. And so that puts a lot of stress on your child. That puts a lot of stress on them to be this perfect little person. And so they don't know how to really create an environment around themselves. They don't know how to build these boundaries around themselves so that they can live and not strive to be perfect, right? Not strive to be perfect, but strive for progress. So I saw this quote today. It says, strive for progress, not perfection. Okay. We look at a person who is perfectionist, looks at things like failure as opposed to positive. We think about that term, the cup is half empty, the cup is half full. A person who is a perfectionist, they're thinking about the failures as opposed to what is going right? What could go right? Am I good at this? Even if you're good at something, being a perfectionist can really drive you to the point where you just don't have the confidence in what you're doing. Hey, Ian, thank you for joining me. Please like and share this broadcast. Please tag someone so that we're talking about perfectionism on tonight. Perfectionism, we put these high, unrealistic expectations on ourselves because, again, of the things that has happened in the past. So we look at, we kind of dive into our parents a little bit, the usual suspects, right? Because as a child, that is all you know. You grow up dependent on these people, and we're not blaming. Again, I talked about how our parents do the best that they can with what they have. We don't blame our parents, but we have to look at how were we influenced, right? Parents have their own vulnerabilities, weaknesses, and things like that. And so when they are raising us, and that security and that love can sometimes come out as, right? Can come out as, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And so when we're younger, it's a very vulnerable time for us, a very vulnerable period for us, right? Yeah, you think it's not good enough. It's a very vulnerable time. If you have those parents who were very high achievers, you grew up in a household where your parent was a high achiever, and it can actually tag you into believing, it can actually make you into believe that nothing you do, you'll never measure up to that ideal. And so, again, parents focusing on your mistakes, thinking about the worst case scenarios, possible setbacks, saying things like, we really have to watch our words, because even saying things to your child like, you disappointed me, or I'm disappointed in you, right? Those words can really drive a person into a mindset of being a perfectionist, because now I don't want to disappoint anyone anymore. I want to please everyone. I'm going to make sure that, I look okay, that my body is okay, that, I talk okay, that I dress okay. I want to make sure that, if I do all of these things, then I will be accepted. But all of that is brought on because of what was expected of you as you were growing, as you were developing, as you were having these experiences. All of these things were brought on you by that, right? Perfectionism is a trauma response. It's a trauma response due to childhood conditioning. Okay, I'm going to say that again. It is a trauma response due to childhood conditioning. It could have been from some type of emotional abuse. It's reaffirmed through our society. You know how? Because our society paints this picture of what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to look like, how we're supposed to feel. The underlying messages that we hear, right? Thank you guys for joining me. The underlying messages that we hear about, you have to prove your success, right? Hey, Toya, thank you for joining me on Tea Talks. We're talking about perfectionism, right? You have to prove your success. Society is saying you have to have the perfect body. You need to have stuff to prove who you are. You need to be educated. You need to do this. You need to have this behavior, because it's a cycle that continues throughout everywhere. It continues through our churches, through our communities. Everywhere we go, we take that ideal of perfectionism along with us. Hey, Sean, thank you for joining me on Tea Talks. We're talking about perfectionism, right? We're always trying to feel loved and accepted. So I have to do better. I have to do it this way, because if I don't, I'm a failure. This is the mindset, again, when you're brought up, or when you put that ideal of being a perfect person. All behavior is communication. And so instead of trying to be perfect, I'm going to say this again, we want to achieve, to have progress, not perfection. Perfectionism is something that we will never meet. Nobody in this world is perfect. Absolutely no one. But when your mindset when your DNA and your mind has been changed, and you're always on a feeling like you're being looked at, or feeling like you're not good enough because of the parameters that were placed on you at a very young age, You begin to feel like this perfectionism, I can achieve as much as I can, right? It can put us into a despair, helplessness, depression, because we push and push and push and push to get there. And then, and it's amazing because I had noticed this even in my life, that when I have something that I absolutely must do, whether it be a project or anything that's really like that's going to require a lot of my time, and I want to do it right, it shuts me down, because I start to think of a million things that can go wrong with it. Oh, I'm not going to get the information that I need, or, oh, I'm not going to be able to get it in on time, or, I'm not going to be able to do this right. And so all of these things begin to plague me. And you know what your body does? It shuts down. Your body, I freeze, and I'll find a million other things to do besides what I'm supposed to be doing, because of the fear that is driving in me to be perfect, for this thing to come off as great, because I want everyone to approve of it, and so that gets into that people pleasing, that gets into those expectations that we put on ourselves. When we're young, we learn what's right and wrong. We learn that growing up. Oh no, this, we're told, no, don't touch that. That's wrong. No, don't do that. That's wrong. That's right. Unfortunately, it carries over in our childhood. And we constantly second guess ourselves about what's right and wrong. If you think about it, if you've ever been that person who does that, like, I don't know, or having a hard time making a decision because you feel like you don't want to make the wrong decision. But what is the wrong decision, right? Where does that ideal come from? It's a learned behavior, because we've been taught that this is wrong or this is right, and we're watching things on television that's determining what's wrong and what's right. If we were ridiculed or blamed for not living up to a specific standard, it comes with that judgment, not giving ourselves room to make mistakes. We learn that being perfect is the only option, and we see it all around us. That's why we have to really not allow what's going on in the world to influence us. We see it all around us. Therefore, if we fail to be perfect, then something must be wrong with us. You look at when you look at the media, and you look at how their ideal of what a person is supposed to look like, and their ideal of what a person is supposed to make, and how they're supposed to show up in the world, really can affect your self-esteem and who you feel you are. So it looks like I can't achieve that. It's impossible. I'm not that perfect. It gets you into this thing called the imposter syndrome. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that at a later time. But that when I learned what that was, and I understood how it came out and manifested even in myself, I had to go back and say, oh my goodness, where does this come from? It's the ideal of, it's almost like I have this knowledge and I know what I'm talking about. But because I'm afraid that someone's going to find out that maybe, or they're going to start thinking, oh, she doesn't know as much as she thinks she knows, or she doesn't have this, and she's not a doctor in this or a doctor in that. You begin to pull back and begin to sit on what you know and what you have been given the authority to speak about. Because that imposter syndrome creeps in based on perfectionism, right? Because the idea that you don't know if you're not credentialed in this area, or if you don't have this in this area. So that is where that comes from. And we're going to talk a little bit about that at another time. But just being this perfect person, we create this mask or this false identity, right? Because we want people to like you, to like us. We want people to say, okay, I like them. I approve of them. I approve of what they're doing. And most of us, can agree that we want to have great success. All of us want to be successful. We want to achieve great things in life. I always now in my life, hey Tina, thank you for joining me. I always now in my life think everything I do, what is my motivation for doing it? What am I driven? What is driving me to want to do this? And when you're a perfectionist, it's hard to even see your accomplishments. It's hard to see your achievements because you're always looking for that next. You're always thinking, this wasn't good enough. I need to go to this, and it can become so hard to live up to the expectations. It can be so hard to live up to that because it's not authentic. It's not who you really are. I remember just having anxiety, even years ago in my 20s, just getting this anxious feeling whenever I was hosting something, either at my house or, just hosting an event or a gathering, a party or something. Hosting those things made me anxious because I wanted everything to be perfect. I felt like everything needed to be perfect. I wanted people to say, that was a great job, that went off well. I enjoyed this and I enjoyed that. I never wanted anything to be negative. So, you begin to plan all of these great things and do all of these great things. And then when the day comes, you can't enjoy it. You know why? Because you're running around trying to still put it on. You can't enjoy the fruits of your labor. You can't enjoy what has really become to manifest because you're still looking at, oh my gosh, I didn't get enough this. I didn't get enough that we're going to run out of this. So your mind, that perfectionist mind, can wear you out. It can cause burnout. It can literally cause you to crash. So understanding that is key, right? So we talked about our parents, how they're our first influence. So let's talk about another entity that sometimes comes across in our young children that they're dealing with today, with the whole bullying aspect, right? Experiencing bullying in your childhood or in teenage years can affect how you are, how you see yourself and how you validate yourself, how you feel shame about things. So even when you're younger and you're growing and your mind is like, I remember when, right? I remember when they used to say this about me. I remember when they used to say that about me. And so we get this whole ideal of, I'm going to show them, nothing in my life is ever going to be imperfect. Nothing in my life is ever going to be out of place because I need to show these people who said that I was this and I was that. I need to show them that I'm better, that I've done better, that I've achieved these things. Achievement. We always focus on achievement when you're a perfectionist. People in that mindset always focuses on achieving, so we got to understand. So I'm going to give you some ways that you'll know, I want you to think about it just a little bit. Am I that person who is a perfectionist? Am I that person that feels that I'm not good enough? I'm not good enough for anything. So if you're doing things like overworking, I'm working a lot because I need to achieve this amount of money, or I want to work because I want to become in that position, the next CEO, or I want to be the next supervisor or the next manager, and again, there is nothing wrong with achieving those things, but what is your motivation for doing it? Are you doing it because you want to show people? You want to show people. You want to do it because it makes you feel like you are not in that place you used to be. You don't have to feel like I'm a nobody or I can't accomplish this. Are you doing it for accomplishment's sake only? Are you people pleasing? Everything is, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do this. I used to say that I'm a recovering yesaholic, right? A recovering yesaholic is a person who could never say no. Didn't know what the meaning of the word no was. Didn't understand that saying no was actually a good thing for me. Are you people pleasing? Do you worry about what other people think about you? Do you worry about how they view you, how they see you, what they think about how you live your life, the mate that you chose, the house that you chose, the car that you chose? Are you worried about what other people are saying, or what they're thinking about you? Things that we don't even know what people are thinking about us, right? We can imagine. What are they thinking about us? Are you worrying about feeling like you're held back from what you want to do? You can't move to the next step because of that whole idea that I'm not good enough. You won't even take a step. You get stuck. Your feet can't move. Yes, your feet can't move because you're feeling like I can't do this. Wanting to do a really good job. I want to do a really good job. To show, again, this is all the mindset of I want to show people that I can do a really good job, that I can pull this off, that I can do this. I want them to know that I really can. Do you need to feel in control? Control is a very, very, very strong, powerful word. A lot of the world that we live in today is governed by that power and control. Do you want to be in control of every single thing? Do you have a team that you work with, but you feel like they'll never be able to do it the way that I do? I need to have my hands in this. I need to be in control of this, because if I'm not in control of it, it's not going to be perfect. Just think about that for a minute. In those spaces, do you want to be in control? Are you a procrastinator? Procrastination was me. I was procrastination. Procrastination is the fact that you just put things off and you put things off and you put things off until it gets to the point where you can't put it off anymore. And now you have to move. Now you have to do something. And now you're driven by stress. You're driven by pressure. You're driven under time constraints. I used to think that I could manipulate time. I have so much time to do this. I can do it later, or I can get it done. And actually, being transparent, I just kind of did something similar like that this week. I had to create a presentation for my job for a training that I'm doing on Monday. And literally, I just finished the PowerPoint today. Yesterday, last night. And I actually literally started, I was doing the research for it, but I never really wrote anything down. And I started probably on Monday. I got it done. But however, in my mind, it was such a daunting task, because I'm like, I know I can do it. We know that we're capable. I know I can do it, but is it going to be right? Is it going to be the way it's supposed to be? Am I going to have enough information? Am I going to be able to convey the message that I'm supposed to convey? And so when my mind was so overwhelmed, hey, Tor, thank you for joining. When my mind was so overwhelmed with everything I had to do, I shut down. I found everything else to do except for write that presentation. And so when I came down to the wire, literally a week, I said, I have to put something down. And to be honest with you, I was trying to do it in my own strength. But what I did was I sat down. One morning I got up, and I want to say it was one day last week. And I got up and I was spending time with God. It was early in the morning. And I just said, God, give me, what am I supposed to do? Like, give me the outline. And literally, I began writing the outline, and everything that I wrote in my outline was what I was supposed to do. Why did I wait to ask the question? Why did I wait to find out? Because in my mind, I was trying to do it on my own and then still not feeling like it would have been good enough. And so when I submitted it today, I submitted it to my supervisor and my coworkers. They loved it. My supervisor, she really gives me a lot of autonomy in those areas. So she really didn't have much to say about it, but I waited, procrastinating, thinking that I can manipulate this time, and then putting a lot of pressure on me. But I'm glad that it wasn't as much pressure as it could have been, because we put too much on ourselves at times. Are we feeling afraid to do things we wish we could do? Are we feeling afraid to do things we wish we could do? Some of us want to do some things that we've never done before. We want to experience, we want to explore certain areas. We want to try different things, but are we afraid because we're afraid that it won't happen, that we won't be able to do it, or, there's going to be some ridicule about it. We're stuck in that place where we don't want to do things that we wish we could do. Putting too much pressure on ourselves. Are we setting impossible standards for ourselves and then being disappointed when we can't meet them? Yes, Tina, afraid to fail. Are we afraid to fail? Are we setting impossible standards and then getting disappointed when we don't meet them? Yes. Setting these high, lofty standards. Like, I know, we don't know how to start small. We sometimes want to jump in feet first because as a perfectionist, we feel like we have it all together, but we're still afraid that we won't do it. We can't do it. That's almost like I think about an oxymoron. I know I can do it, but I don't think I can do it. I know I can do it, but I don't think that I can do it. And as a perfectionist, this is the mindset that we can have, right? We set these standards and then we're disappointed when we can't meet them because we're not starting off small. We're not taking those little steps. We're jumping in feet first because we feel we can handle it. And oftentimes we need to start off in sequence, right? We need to start off in sequence. Do we feel deeply flawed? Do we look at ourselves, or we look at things that we can't do and we say, look at this flaw, look at that flaw. I laugh because how they have those mirrors where they're like not 3D, but they're mirrors where you turn it on one side and you can see really, really close. You can see like every nook and cranny in your face. And I would always steer clear of those mirrors because when I would look in that mirror, I would see everything that I thought was an imperfection. Everything that I thought was wrong. And then once I seen it, I began to internalize it. Looking at everything that you think is wrong. Do you only see your flaws? Yes, take the steps, trust the process. Absolutely. Believe in ourselves. We have to stop looking at what is not right, the flaws. Okay? Are we expecting for other people to leave no room for mistakes? Are we hard on other people? Are we expecting other people to live to the same standard of our mindset of perfectionism? And when they don't do it, I talked about earlier, having a team of people, but not trusting that they'll be able to get the job done. Are we holding other people to the standards? Do we not want people to make mistakes? No one should make a mistake. Are we saying these things? This is simple. You should be able to do this without making a mistake. What expectations are we putting on other people? Are we self-critical? That goes back to looking at our flaws. Are we constantly criticizing ourselves? You could have did this better. Or, what are you listening to? What internal voice are you listening to? Fearing other people's judgment. Okay. We feel like who we are is based on what we achieve. That's a good one. I often look at people who go and get degree after degree after degree after degree after degree. Those lifelong learners, those lifelong people who always want to get degreed and things like that. Are they doing it because they're trying to fill a void, or they want to feel like because I am this person, or I have these certifications or these degrees that I am somebody? Am I only somebody based on what I have achieved? Okay. Not giving ourselves credit for what we have accomplished. We have to look around ourselves and say, thank you. Thank you, Lord. I'm doing pretty good for myself. If we're not giving ourselves credit for that because we're thinking I should be further. You hear people say, I should be further along than I am. I should be in this space. I'm only here. That's not showing gratitude at all. That's not appreciating where you are. But again, it's the mindset of a person who is a perfectionist. Thinking that your work is not good enough. We talked about that. Struggling with allowing yourselves to take breaks and relax. Struggling to allow yourself to take breaks and relax. Do you feel like when you take a break that you're being lazy? When you take a break that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing? When you take a break, I can't be achieving anything if I'm taking a break. Again, the mindset of a perfectionist. And all of us have the ideal that we want things to be a certain way. We want them to look a certain way. We want them to turn out a certain way. We want things to be flawless. But the reality is nothing and no one is flawless. And when we begin to understand that, we have to work through what is causing this perfectionism. What happened in my life that got me to this point? What happened in my life that makes me feel like I need to be perfect? Because I want to show people, I want to show the world that I'm perfect, that I can do this perfectly. And again, it can really backfire on you. It can backfire on who you are. Perfectionism, again, is a trauma response. It's a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism that help us to survive, help people who have past trauma survive and navigate through life. It's a coping mechanism. Like any other thing could be a coping mechanism. We talk about food as a coping mechanism. We talk about alcohol and other drugs as a coping mechanism, right? We talk about shopping as a coping mechanism. We talk about TV as a coping mechanism. Perfectionism is a coping mechanism. But it can backfire when we become adults. We can truly let go of this coping mechanism. And next week, I'm going to tell you guys how. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how we can literally get the tools, what tools we need to get rid of the mindset that we have to be perfect so that we can live a healthy life, that we can get back the things that we lost. Kiana says, yes, I believe it's other people watching and comparing ourselves to others. Absolutely. That's what a person does who wants to be perfect. I'm comparing myself to this person because they seem to be, what I see in them is how I envision myself. What I see in them is what I want for myself. But one size does not fit all. Not a diet, not an exercise routine, not a lifestyle. One size does not fit all. We are all uniquely and individually made. And nothing that one person does, something somebody else does, may not work for you. But we view the world as a way to, I need to be this person because of the things that I went through. And the expectation is that if I get from point A to point Z, and I achieve all these things along the way, I'm ultimately going to be good. But you know what happens in the mind of a perfectionist? They try to find a letter after Z. Once they get to Z, Z is still not good enough. I'm constantly chasing after something else. I'm constantly chasing after more. I'm not satisfied with where I am. I'm constantly chasing after more. And I want you guys to kind of think about the things that I talked about it as it relates to perfectionism. And when we come back next week, we're going to actually talk about what that looks like to dismantle that. Because as we know, being a part of T, when you guys join T, we talk about trauma, but we also want to tell you how to deal with it. We want to show you how to move past it. This is a safe space where we can talk about things so that we can begin to change. So we can begin to change our mindset, so that we can begin to heal from those things that's happened to us, so that we can begin to live a life that's full and accomplished. Again, strive for progress, not perfection. Perfection is an unattainable goal. I'm going to say that again. Perfection is an unattainable goal, because when you think that you've made it, you're never going to be satisfied to a point where you feel like I can sit back and rest, because you're going to be chasing something else. And again, this comes from things that happened in our childhood. This comes from things that was expected of us, and through our relationships with our caregivers, our friends, our families, our relatives, and all of that transpired onto us. And now we feel like we need to do something else. We need to do more. We're not good enough. And as long as I keep striving, eventually I'll make it. But in reality, that's not the mind of a person who's striving for perfection, because there's always going to be a letter. They're always going to be trying to find a letter after Z. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me on tonight. Think about if you want to go back and play this video, and we went over several things that you can look at to see, hey, am I a perfectionist? Am I living? Am I putting these standards on myself? You know, am I putting these high expectations on me and other people because I want to live this perfect life? So go back and watch it. Also, if you guys want to, you can log onto my website. You can set up an appointment with me, a 30-minute free consultation. We can talk about some things. If you feel like you're struggling in some areas when it comes to trauma, just set up an appointment with me and we can talk about that. Also, on next Saturday, I will be on a radio show, and I will actually post that information. Also, I'll be talking about what I do and different elements of like my book and things like that. So I'll be posting that information as well. Thank you guys for joining Tea Talks. This is a safe space to help us reclaim our lives. That's what we want to do. We want to get back those things that's been taken from us, those things that have caused us to think a certain way and feel a certain way. We want to get back in place, because I always equate our lives as a puzzle. We all have different pieces to a puzzle. Our bodies are made up of different pieces. We want to be whole, mind, body, spirit, and soul. And so until we get all those pieces put in the right place, we can always have something that can hold us back. So thank you for joining me on Tea Talks, where we help you reclaim your life. I'm your certified trauma support specialist, and I will see you guys on next week, where we will talk about now that we know what perfectionism looks like, how do we overcome it? So I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. And again, for those of you who joined or watching the replay, this is my mug of the month. It is a black mug, and it's a bookcase. It has books on the shelf. I absolutely love it. I just got it about a week ago. So this will be my mug of the month. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.